What is up, film school dropouts? Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Andy. How you doing, Andy?
I'm good. I always sound so depressed when you intro. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I am so excited to be here on this episode because this episode we are talking about Prey.
Prey.
And I was so excited to talk about this one in particular because I'm a huge Predator fan. And you actually just got into it, but I've been a Predator fan. And when this was announced, I remember I went to you and I was like, we need to do this right away.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we're here to talk about it. And like I said, you just watched the original one, didn't you?
Yeah.
You didn't know anything about this.
No. I think I may have seen Alien.
Okay.
Because that's the same universe, right? I'm kidding.
No.
I'm kidding.
All the 80s fans.
Everyone, don't leave yet. I'm just joking. It's just a joke.
It's the same universe. No, I mean...
I watched the original one today, the 1987 Predator, and then I watched Prey.
Yeah, and this was your first exposure to it. And, what did you think of the original movie? Before we even get to Prey, what did you think of the original movie?
It was fine.
It was fine.
It was very 80s. I think I was texting you about it and I said that, but I don't know, very 80s. I thought I thought, not to get too much into Prey, but I thought that the way that they handled Predator in the original was a lot better in terms of I don't know. It's hard because when you see Prey came out this year, obviously, so you've seen multiple films with this creature in it. So there's not much anticipation and build up. But in the first film, that's what I noticed. It's they didn't really reveal him until the very end of the film.
Oh yeah.
And I really enjoyed that because I was waiting to see what he looked like. But in Prey, from the very beginning of the film. So very different types of build up in the two films, but.
So have you seen what Predator looked like at all before going into this?
I don't know, vaguely. Somehow I remembered that he had the dreadlocks. He's Jamaican, right?
No.
The fiercest warriors in the galaxy are from Jamaica.
All the 80s people are mad.
Yeah, I don't know. I must have seen him somewhere because when I saw it in the first film, I was like, oh yeah, that's what it looks like. So I don't know.
Well, I'm really glad you got to see it. It's a classic sci-fi horror 80s film.
Yeah.
So
with Arnold, you can't beat Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, you can't.
Trying to pull off an American accent, it's hilarious.
Yeah, and again, we'll get into it in a second. Why I really loved the idea of Prey, it existing. I'm just really happy that it exists. So we'll get into that in a second. But do you have anyone to shout out this episode?
Let's shout out.
Let's shout out.
Let's shout out. Yeah, man. Sorry, my Instagram just started blaring. Okay. On Instagram, we're at 59 followers. So follow us to be the 60th, please. And also, big shout out to YouTube. We just hit 50 subs on YouTube.
Yes.
Heyo. That's mostly because of RRR, but whatever. Okay, so our newest Instagram followers, we have the Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh.
That's his name.
That's a cool name.
His Instagram handle is FML Ragu. Huge fan of Elon Musk. So shout out this guy. I don't even know your name because you don't have it. We have Vinay Varanasi.
Vinay. Vinay waits for you. I'm just kidding.
Bro, this is my favorite part of this show because you just you trying to say the names back is so fun. Vinay. His bio says live like a legend.
Oh, heck yeah.
You are.
Well, you're a legend for joining the squad.
You're a legend in our hearts. All right. We have Aditya Prasad.
Aditya?
Aditya. His Instagram bio says carnivore. And it has little meat emojis.
What a badass.
What a badass, bro.
And
then we have Arjun Korath. Lots of people from India and Asia.
We love to see it.
We do. Yeah,
Thank you for joining.
They're all following us because of our Miss Marvel reel where we roasted that chick.
Are they really?
Yeah, for real. Because that reel has, I don't know, it's a few weeks old now, but it like recently, I don't know if you saw this, but it recently like got a couple thousand extra views. It's up to 12K views now on
way.
Instagram. Yeah. So a bunch of people follow. But anyways, those are the latest fellow dropouts. Thank you guys. We love you.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, let's jump into this. This is the part I love.
Yeah. Frick this movie, bro. Honestly, frick this movie.
Well, I'm turning this off. Time to see you next week. No,
I'm sorry if I'm a little extra. I'm pretty angsty tonight.
Okay. Well, I think you can already tell where my stance on Prey is, right?
No?
Okay.
Because you said you liked it in concept, so did you kind of like it? But not really?
No, I loved it.
Oh, wow. I did not like this movie. I did not.
Really? You didn't like Prey?
Frick this movie, dude.
What? No way.
I did not like it.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is interesting. I feel like finally we have an episode where we both have opposite opinions.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
It's time to see who has the bigger dick, Cole.
It's time to see who's right, who's wrong. Vote in the comments. I'm just kidding. That's surprising, dude. But you like the original though.
I like the original for what it is. I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time with older movies.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I don't know. They're weird, man. Old films are weird. I don't know.
It's like 40. Well, I guess 48 years old is pretty old now.
It was 87, so
it's like 34 or something. Around there.
I thought it was fine. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the original one. Did Terminator come out before this one?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it did. Yeah.
It feels like, bro. It feels like obviously because Terminator had that ridiculously famous line like "I'll be back."
Yeah.
And I feel like they tried so hard to have like as many one-liners in this film as they could because they knew that Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to be delivering them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They're just fun. They're not like I have a hard time taking older movies seriously because they feel like such a period piece, you know.
Interesting. So, that's really interesting actually that you said that. I didn't know that about you.
Some of them I really like. Like some older films are just like works of art, but stuff like this, it just feels like, I don't know, it's there and it's fun and it's like whatever. But
that's really interesting actually. I thought you were gonna like both of them.
Yeah,
because
I did not like the second one, man. I did not like
gosh.
Prey. The one we're reviewing,
crazy.
Prey.
That's crazy. I can't even believe that. Yeah, so I loved it. Obviously it's not like the best movie of all time. I just really liked it.
Yeah, there's just some like major issues that I had with it. That actually, I was watching some videos before we started the podcast to kind of like learn about the universe. So I was listening to like Stephen Hawking and no, I'm kidding. The Predator universe, not our universe. And I learned some stuff that kind of helped me like regather my thoughts about Prey, but I don't know. There were some things that I was just like, this is really stupid.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
The guy stealing Arnold Schwarzenegger's line of like, if it bleeds, we can kill it. I was so done. I was like, dude, stop.
Oh my God. Okay.
Stop.
So you didn't like.
Well, you're a fan. You're a fan of it. So I mean, how did that? I mean, obviously that's a huge like nod to the first movie, but it's like it's not even a nod. It's like a blatant rip off of that same line.
Okay. I'm gonna answer that, but first I'm gonna check my camera real quick.
Okay, so, and while Cole's doing that, a word from our sponsor.
No,
this episode is sponsored.
Right there.
This
on,
episode. No. Cut. He says we can cut because he doesn't edit these episodes. Your boy does. So, bang bang, frick your life.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to have to do that every freaking time. Okay. So, I don't know, man. To me, it wasn't a rip-off or like, not a ripoff, but it didn't bother me at all because here's why.
Here's the thing. Okay. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm just so aggressive tonight. I'm like,
after you say your point, after you say this point, I'm literally going to explain why I love the concept, like why I love that this movie exists. So go ahead.
Okay, here's my point. Imagine if here this is gonna hit home for you. Imagine if in The Last Jedi, okay, Luke Skywalker says, "I am your father," or something stupid like that. That's what it felt like.
Okay,
like you have the most iconic line in the Predator movie, and probably arguably the whole franchise, and they're just like they just throw it out there.
Okay,
from this character that no one cares about.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? It's like you can't. I understand if you want to like pay homage to it and like give a nod and show appreciation and whatnot for the previous films, but you can't just like, I don't know. I get mad at writers when it's just like, I'm just gonna use this line, the fans will love it. It's like, no, you have to earn that. You can't just do that, bro. Like you have to earn that from fans. Okay,
so when you said homage, that's exactly what I took away from
it. Homage.
No, but that's exactly what I took from it. Like I didn't think it was like as big as something like, "Oh, I'm your father." I just thought, "Oh, it's a nice little like nod to that like line," or it's just like a nice tie-in, or reference. Like I didn't
literally, dude. Like imagine Palp saying to Rey, like, "No, I am your grandfather."
Well, so that hits home more because when Vader says, "Luke, I am your father," it is like one of the most important scenes literally in the entire saga.
And dude, in cinema history, I mean.
Well, but so that's why that would be like a big thing. But but something like, if it bleeds, whatever they said, that's not really that big of a deal. Like it's just like a little nod. So that's why to me I was like, like I love that reference. But
I don't know. I thought it was like the best one-liner in the original Predator, and there were a lot. Like there were a lot that they threw out there, and I don't know. For me, that one stuck, and I was like, oh, that's clever. And then they brought it back, and I was like.
The fact that like Luke, I am your father, that is such an important line in the entire, like literally every movie is leading up to that moment. Whereas something like, it's like a little reference to the original movie, that to me actually added more to the movie because here's why. So this movie is not like your typical sequel. It is very unique. So the whole idea of the Predator is literally that he's a predator, right? Like that's it. Like he just hunts people and that's the whole idea. Yeah. Well, what they did was they said, instead of making these really crappy sequels, because that's all they've been doing. They've been making really crappy sequels. Predator 2 was horrible. And then there was like another one. And then there was Predator versus Alien. And there was all these awful movies. And there's a remake. It was just awful. So what they did, they were like, you know what? Let's do something unique here. They took the idea of being a predator and they twisted it onto something completely different. So like Native Americans, they're exactly what predators are. They hunt, right? Like they are the predator. But that's why the movie's called Prey, because they become the prey. Like they're no longer the predators, they become the prey. So it's like a twist. So they took the franchise of Predator and turned it into something completely else. And I thought that was really unique. Like instead of just doing another sequel, they did something different. And that's why I have so much respect for it.
But is it though? Because even in the first one, it was they were the prey to the predator.
But they're not the... So, yes, but they also had no... They were just trying to get from point A to point B. There was no...
Oh, they weren't trying to like hunt it.
Yeah, and then in this movie, the main character, she's a Native American, and her whole arc is that she wants to be a predator. She wants to hunt things... And she is exactly like the predator.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying that literally the predator is the prey in this movie.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Well,
okay, I got you.
Yes, that's one other point. But like Native American, well, what I'm saying is like Native Americans, all they do is hunt. Whereas in the original movie, these guys aren't hunting. They're just there on a mission. So like Native Americans, they are predators because what they hunt, that's their prey. But then they become the prey. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why I liked it so much, because it was so different. Because nowadays what they do is they take a movie that worked in the 80s and they just remake it.
And it's worse.
Yeah. But this one, they're like, you know what? Let's actually try something different, and it worked for me at least. But how? So I want to know, like, why did it not work for you?
Oh man, I don't know. I just thought it was like not. I don't know. I have a hard time. I just thought it was like not as good as the original. I only watched those two, and I know that there's stuff in the middle. There's Predator 2. There's the AVP stuff.
Don't even watch them. They're so bad.
So I don't even. And honestly, the creators of Alien say that AVP is not canon. Like all those films aren't canon to that universe.
Really?
But yeah, so I haven't seen any of that in between stuff. So I don't know, like, as a whole, how good this franchise is, but it's just blatantly worse than the original. And I hate that is the case with like almost every franchise ever, where they just like take stuff that, and bro, I wish studios would listen, because it's so frustrating that it's happening so much in Hollywood right now. But it's like, they have a series that is proven to work. It has a large fan base. I get it. But then they're just like immediately like, oh, we'll just remake that. And it doesn't really have to like do anything revolutionary. It just has to kind of build off of that. And it's a win. And it's just like, it's really lazy. And I hate that studios are doing that so much now. And so when I see something like this, that just like, confirms that opinion that I have, I just get frustrated. And I'm just like, it's such a cool, Predator is like such a cool franchise conceptually. Like, it's really dope. And I wish that they would stop trying to just like keep building on it, and in terms of like chronologically adding to the story, and just like add to the concept as a whole, and not just be like, oh, this was the first one that came in 1970 freaking California, like with the Native Americans. I wish they would just like add to the concept of it, instead of, and try to like branch out and do something different and make it like, it's going to be more of a risk, sure, but it's going to probably pay off if you do it better, So stop trying to make like sequels. Try to make like, similar to like what Marvel and, the Star Wars franchise does, when they just like add these big, other IPs to the whole thing, So yeah, like you don't have to just like keep adding stuff chronologically or go back and add stuff back in time. You just add something new.
See, I have the exact opposite opinion. And like I said before, I feel like this movie actually did the opposite of what you're saying. So like, how you're saying studios nowadays take an old franchise and they just are lazy with it. They just kind of profit off the brand. Yeah. So like I said, for this one, they could have easily just done another Predator, or like they could have just done, who knows? But I don't know. To me, like, the main character is just so interesting, and it completely ties like with the dynamic with the Predator. Like, to me, like it's just different. I feel like it is different from the first movie. And you are right. The first movie is better, obviously, because it's a classic. But I really do think that the studio actually tried. This is just my opinion. I really do think the studio actually tried something with this franchise, with this movie, because like, I don't know. I just love the idea of, it's set in the 1700s. You have a woman, Native American, a woman, by the way, and she's trying to be a awesome Predator. So already there's like, and you're going to hate me saying this word, but there's stakes. because you do. You feel for her. You're like, she wants to be someone.
I actually don't. I honestly, and I want to tell you my opinion of the main character, knowing now that you liked her. I did not, dude. I thought that her.
See, that's so crazy.
I'm like so ranty today.
I don't know why you didn't like this movie.
I'll tell you why. So, okay, so here's, and it's unfortunate that so many of the things that we're reviewing have this similar vein that we end up talking about. This is very clearly like they're doing a specific culture, Native American culture, cool. They're also going a very like feminist heavy narrative with the main character, which is also cool. That's cool.
So I disagree with that, but go ahead.
And I'll tell you why. It's 100% about like, it's 100% about like going against gender norms for that culture. That is 100% what that character is about. She is, and even her mom is like, you need to just focus on being like in medicine, and why don't you cook, and why don't be a hunter because you're not good at it. Like even the mom is like very clearly trying to reinforce these gender roles that they have in their culture. So me saying that this is like a very feminist sentiment, it's true because it's like they're trying to empower the main female protagonist to be able to decide what she wants to do. I'm cool with that. That's fine. Make that the narrative as much as you want. The issue that I have is the only reason she actually wants to be a hunter is to prove to the other people that she can. And she said that word for word.
Well, because she wants it. She wants
but
to.
She doesn't. That's not what she said. She said that because the mom was like, the mom literally, and this is so stupid, because the mom asked her literally, explicitly, why do you want to? Which I don't know. I feel like I rarely ever hear that written in dialogue. Like a character asking a character what they want, like pinpoint word for word. And she says, because you guys don't think I can. I think the feminist thing would have been much more powerful if she said, because that's what I want to do. Like I want to be a predator. Like I want to be a hunter.
Well, that's exactly what she wants to do.
No, she just wants to prove everyone wrong.
She wants to. Well,
she wants to prove that she can do something else, which I don't feel like is as powerful.
Okay, so let me just make on your point about feminism, because that's a really powerful word, and I feel like you should only use it like when it is really obvious. So, for example, I just watched the newest episode of She-Hulk, and I'm not even joking. I watched it because it's Marvel. That is feminist. that show is just like Captain Marvel, dude. And I don't know if you watched it yet, but that show is just like Captain Marvel.
I have not watched it. I don't know if I will.
That is an example of when they're trying to push a narrative, but all they care about is the narrative. Whereas in Prey, this main character, I mean, I didn't see that. I didn't get that feeling at all, because she actually has to go through trials. It's not like she's Captain Marvel where she's perfect immediately, or She-Hulk where she's perfect immediately. She gets put down by everyone else. That's why she's like, I want.
That's exactly what like the feminist narrative is.
But
it's like women fighting and advocating for equal rights. Like that's
but she actually proves herself though. Like she actually goes through the trials and proves herself. She's not perfect. Like she doesn't kill the rabbit right away, and she almost gets murdered by the bear. Like she loses her dog. She gets captured. Her brother, she can't save her brother. She gets tied up. Yeah. There's all these things, and at the end she proves herself by being like smart. Like she uses.
No, for sure.
So that's a good.
And I'm not saying that they're just leaning on the feminist thing as like the only way to make the character work. That's not what I'm saying, because you're saying that this was like a successful character. She had a compelling arc. She went through trials and she had to prove herself. I agree completely with that. So I'm not saying that it was like these freaking woke producers sitting in a room saying like, oh, it has to be a female lead in this, and it's gonna and they were just riding on the coattail of that. That's not what I'm saying. But like literally this is like a very like women equality sentiment, especially in the context of her tribe. And I think it was done well. I'm not saying that it was like bad. My issue is just like with her motivation, that I don't know, and maybe I'm like taking it too literal, but I'm literally just taking it as the character said it to us. It's not like I'm inferring anything. Like she said word for word, I want to prove it to you because you don't think I can. I wish she would have said, like, I wish the writers would have said, when the mom said, why do you want to be a hunter? She says, because like, that's what I feel called to do. Like that would be so much more powerful. And it would actually reinforce that greater conversation about like women's equality. It's like, if a woman wants to be able to do something outside of the gender norm, she should be able to do that, because again, women are equal to men. Like that, I think that would carry that way more, than just saying, I want to prove you wrong. Like that's just, I don't know. It just felt off.
So to me, you know how we always say like show don't tell, like that's always a big thing in film.
Yeah.
So to me, like, I don't know, I still got that message from her, even when she didn't blatantly say what she wanted, because she was visually showing us what she wanted to do. Like the very first shot of her is trying to kill that deer, and she fails. So automatically we see what she wants to do, and she fails. And then her brother steps in, and then automatically you get like this visual like presentation in front of you where he shoots down the hawk, and she's like, wow, like, okay. And he just kind of like says, oh, you know, blah, 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 you can't really do this. But it, to me, like, I got the picture right away that she wants to hunt and she wants to be a predator, but everyone doesn't believe in her, but she believes in herself. And so I don't know. I can see where you're coming from.
That's fine. I'm not arguing that she wants to. I'm arguing why she wants to. And I'm not even arguing it because it was like explicitly said. She wants to, and that's like very clearly demonstrated that she wants to be a hunter and she wants to be able to do that. But the issue that I have is like the why behind her doing it. I wish, like I said, I wish they would have written that she felt called to be a hunter more than she felt. And she's like, I feel like my skills are better and I feel like I have a passion for it. Like that would be just so much, I don't know. I feel like that would surf the narrative so much better.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like I got that from the visual. Like I felt like I got her why from the visual. That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like I got it already. Just by what's happening, like that, I didn't need explanation. So when she said because I can, I was like, oh, I already know why you want to, because of all these visual things.
I get that, but I don't know. I feel like you have to, when the character literally says the reasoning for them doing stuff, you kind of really have to consider it to be the truth. So if she never said that, then yes, I would agree with you. I would assume just by how she acted that it was just something that she really wanted to do for herself. But the second she says I'm doing it for other people, like that kind of like taints everything else that she's doing.
Well, and the other thing too is like she also wants to help other people as well. Like she's constantly wanting to protect her brother. She's like, hey, I need to go out there and help him. There's something else there. So she's not doing it just to be selfish. Like she doesn't want to be a hunter because she's selfish and she's a feminist or whatever, like Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. But like she actually wants to help her brother because she sees something that they can't. And that's another reason why I really liked her character, was because, you know, they're pushing her back. And again, this makes sense. It's like, it's in the olden times. You know, women weren't seen as hunters. So again, I get what you're saying. Like I think what it comes down to is that it's hard nowadays to accept something like this because of how many failures we've seen. And like, we're just kind of, have PTSD about it because we don't know if it's like actually good anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't know. There's so many roles where there's women lead and they're really well done. And I think nowadays when you try to do a role where, you know, it's set in a time where this wouldn't happen. And I'm not saying you're automatically jumping to conclusions here, but I'm saying it's going to be more likely that someone might say, oh, you know, this is a feminist thing.
But I think it was done well though. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it was handled poorly like it was in other things that we've reviewed. Yeah. I think that it could have been stronger. Like, I think that could have been stronger if they had either left out her saying explicitly what she said, or they changed it to be more of an inherent desire rather than a desire to just prove people wrong.
So kind of talking away from her now, did you like, you know, the story at least, and like the action, like the set pieces? Did you like, because you just said you straight up didn't like the movie, so I'm just wondering if it's just the main character or...
No, it was, she was a big part of it. And then I had, coming like back to back from watching the original one, I liked the idea of the Predator in the first one a lot more. That he was a hunter, right? Like when you think of, I don't know, like an apex predator, they're very like calculated. They're very like sneaky, you know, like if you think of lions, like literally that's kind of how they created that Predator in the first one, where like he was hiding in the trees. He freaking only took them out like one at a time. And then when I watched this one, it felt totally different, where this thing felt like a gladiator. Like he just like found something, he was like, wah! And just like fought like bears. Like, and he didn't even care. And I was getting frustrated watching it because in situations where she got away or like, you know, other people got away, it felt like he was just like distracted fighting whatever it was, as opposed to like going for the main characters. And it felt like kind of like an easy diversion, just because like that's how they built that creature in this movie, as opposed to being more cold and more calculated and more like precise with what he was doing. This one just felt like he showed up and was like, you know, I'm just going to take out the biggest, like super alpha male kind of vibes, like, bah. So, but what I learned, and I didn't think about this until I saw this video, shout out Screen Rant, but they were talking about how this is like technically the first story in the entire thing.
Yeah, it's a prequel. Yeah.
And what he was saying was that this predator came to Earth probably maybe for the first time, and he was trying to figure out which of the species were the strongest. So it started with the snake, and then it went to the wolf, and then it went to the lion, and then eventually it got to humans. And so, and then the bear was in there. And so what I perceived is it just like going around and being a bully to whatever it could find. They suggested that it was like, because it was its first time on Earth with a whole bunch of different species, it was trying to figure out who was the apex so that it could then, you know, do its thing with the apex predator. So I don't know. That gave me a little bit more appreciation for it. But that being said, I still way prefer how they handled Predator in the first movie. I thought it was way cooler.
So yeah, no, I like obviously, like I said before, you know, the first one is better, but the first one is also just very simple. Like, again, it's just like a very, and you even said like it'd be really easy to shoot. Like, it's just a group of people in the jungle being watched by something. Like, it's a very simple concept, and you know, the whole movie is actually just them walking through the jungle. Like, I actually found myself multiple times like thinking like, man, there are so many shots of them just walking through the jungle. But with this one, something that I really appreciated was that there's so many different areas and so many different things that are happening. Like, you know, we're with a bunch of French people. We're with a bear. We're tied up now. We're you know, with the predator. We're up in the tree with a tiger. Like, to me, it was really unique. Like, it was a different twist on the predator to me, because the old one was just a really simple premise. This one took that premise and just kind of made it more unique, in my opinion. Like I said at the beginning of the video, Native Americans are the predators, but then they become the prey. And I really like that idea. Like, and it was fun to see like Native Americans, because, you know, like, this is kind of like, he's got so much better technology. So it was really fun to see them like freak out about this stuff. And they're like, what the heck is this? Because in the first movie, it wasn't like, you know, too much out of the question. And it didn't seem like that for the people either. So it was kind of fun to see like the Native Americans be like, what the heck? And then they shoot an arrow at them and it does nothing. But the girls still somehow managed to kill the predator. And that's why I really like the movie, because, you know, even way back in 1716, you know, this random girl still manages to take out the predator. I don't know. It's just a very different premise than the first one, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's interesting. This is fun, actually, because this is like the first time we had different opinions, so this is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I loved all the action sequences, like when she's trying to kill the bear, and again, she's trying to kill the bear and she can't. She fails, and so that's just a lot of visual storytelling right there. Like, she's not doing well, and then luckily the predator comes in to take him out. But then that's how she learns a little bit more about the predator. So she's constantly learning more, and she's also learning more about how to hunt at the same time. So it kind of builds up into this climax where she finally kind of mastered hunting, and she knows fully about who this guy is. So it just kind of comes together at the end. And again, I just think that was a cool build up, and he had all this action sequences in the middle. I don't know. It was a really good sequel. Or a prequel. So yeah, so you don't like this movie. You already said like you already said like there's a few things that you like, but is there a few things that you like a lot more than the first one, or is there just things that really stood out to you?
I just overall it feels like a more modern movie. Like it feels more like what I'm used to, and so I don't know. I appreciated like cinematography more in this one. Because it's just what I know more of. So I mean, like I would say that I thought it was shot better. The CGI on the Predator itself, like obviously there's some practical stuff going on, and that's like a real person there on set, probably in cosmetics to some extent, but it looks way better. Like that creature looks way better in this version. But then like some of the stuff, like the bear looked super janky.
Yeah, some of the CGI did look bad, like the deer at the beginning.
Yeah, which I think is the problem when you have like an allocated budget and you say, okay, we're going to do this much on, CGI and whatnot, and then you spend it, like obviously the right choice is to say, hey, we're going to make sure that the freaking Predator looks good, because that's like the most important part. And then you have like maybe a second unit team working on the other characters, like the bear, and it's just like, I don't know, it's hard because like the freaking Revenant, like the bear in that movie looks like ridiculously good. And so it's the same kind of thing when we're talking about the monkey from Nope, because like CGI monkeys have been done really, really well with like Planet of the Apes and whatnot, and then we saw freaking that one in Nope and we're like, oh, that looks bad. But it's all relative, you know what I'm saying?
What's interesting is nowadays we're seeing more and more of that. Like I used to think, I don't know if this has always been the case, but I used to think that a lot of the movies coming out had really good CGI.
Yeah, do you remember King Kong, dude?
Yeah, dude,
with Jack Black.
But recently,
that still holds up.
Recently, like every movie now, there's like one thing that doesn't look good.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Like why? What is it with 2022 and like all these movies that are good, but they have like one bad CGI?
Yeah, well, this is an interesting point, because a lot of stuff now is like produced by networks. So like a Netflix or Hulu or whatever, they're gonna produce it. And I guarantee you the budget for this thing was probably like barely 100 million. Let me look it up.
So, real quick, there's another kind of
65 million. That's low. Wow.
For Prey?
Dude, yes.
65 million.
That's low. Thor: Love and Thunder, bro, was like...
That was like 250 million.
Yeah.
Was I right?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh. Thor: Love and Thunder, bro.
250. Yeah, you're right. I guarantee you Miss Marvel had a higher budget than Prey.
No way. There's 6 episodes. I mean, there probably is. I'm going to say around the same amount. I'm going to say 65 million as well.
Oh, wait, that's not the right thing. It said 152, but that was for Captain Marvel. It won't tell me. But anyways, yeah, so that's what happens is you say, okay, we're gonna whatever. Well, this is our CGI budget, and then majority of it goes to the freaking main character, and then
I mean, if you look at the film though, I was also thinking about this in this movie too. Like it's actually pretty easy to shoot because everything is outside. There's hardly that many characters. You really just have to spend the money on the CGI, and like I don't know. It was just kind of an easier.
And the rest of the production.
These Predator movies, they look like they could be easily done. No, but
half of that budget goes to freaking actors and whatnot. So,
a point that you made earlier, you were like, the original Predator was kind of hidden, and in this movie, he's kind of like out there, like a gladiator. So that's interesting, because I thought that because I watched the second one and I watched a little bit of AVP. So the second one is just god awful, dude, and AVP is bad too. But I thought like, they're kind of going back to their roots, because like I said, in this movie he's not really shown that much either. Yeah. And she slowly builds to learn him. So I thought you were going to agree with me on that one. I was totally blown away that you don't like this movie, but I thought you were going to agree with me, like, at least he's still kind of in the shadows just a little bit, but because that's what it seemed. That's what it seemed to me.
I feel like it was pointless that he was invisible. because he just turned it off, bro. He turned it off like whenever he got into a fight. He was like, all right, yeah, that's enough.
That's enough.
He didn't sneak around. He just like walked up. I don't know. I felt like they were very different between the two movies. Very different.
That's so crazy. I thought it was. Man.
The more you know.
Who's right?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I felt like watching this movie. When I got to the end, I was like, oh yeah, it's over. I feel like I wasted 2 hours.
I can't even believe you just don't like it. Like,
no, I didn't like it.
Dang.
I would be fine if I never saw that movie again in my life.
What? Wow.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sorry that I told you to watch this movie.
Yeah, you owe me an hour and a half.
Because I recommended it.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy. I was like, before you even talked about doing this, I was like at work and some of the people were like, oh, I heard that the Prey movie is really good. And so I kind of had like high hopes for it. And then I didn't like it.
Well, I mean, it's doing really well. Like, it's getting a lot of praise, and you know, people love it. I hear it all. I mean, just like you heard it with that guy you just told me about. I heard it at work. The first time I heard about Prey was at work. Like, my coworker told me, he's like, "Hey, did you see Prey?" And I'm like, "I have no idea." Actually, no. The first time I heard about Prey was from my friend John. He's actually from Australia. So my friend from Australia told me about Prey. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he's like, it's a Predator prequel. And so I was like, oh, okay. And, you know, I kind of forgot about it. But then I went to work, and I kid you not, it was probably like 2 days later. I went to work, and my coworker told me about it. So that's two people bringing up Prey. And then I saw it in my YouTube videos. Like, it was in there. And then, you know, obviously you heard it from that guy, but I don't know.
That guy. Yeah. I also thought it was really weird how she had a dog.
Dude, I love that dog. The dog kept surviving.
Yeah. This is something that like triggered the heck out of me. When she got captured by the French people, and then all of a sudden they just had her dog after the dog had been gone for the dog was gone for like 20 minutes, dude. Like 20 minutes of on-screen time. Like, ran away from the bear.
Bother me.
It ran away from the bear, and I was like, oh, the dog's gone. And then all of a sudden it just happened to be captured by the same people that captured her. I was like, really?
See, this is so funny. Everything that you...
I'm very cynical towards this movie. But it's because, I don't know, I'm cynical towards stuff that is, you know, like building off of something that already exists, because you have all of the source material. Like, all the hard work is done. Just make something cool and different and interesting. And if they don't, I don't know, if they don't succeed, in my mind, I'm just very cynical of it and very critical, because it's theoretically easier to do than making the original Predator. Like, that was completely different. You had to pitch this idea, something brand new. No one knew if it was going to work, you know. And then they're like, let's get Arnold Schwarzenegger behind it. And they're like, oh, bet. And so they do that, and it succeeds. And same kind of thing with like the Terminator, and it becomes like a classic. It's like, why don't we try to make new classics? Like, answer this question. Is this a classic to you? Is it a future classic?
So that's okay. I don't think it's a like classic, but what I will say is that I think it is a really good addition to a franchise. Like, if you were to tell me, here's all these franchises, if you asked me what's the best addition to a franchise, I would name one of them as Prey. To me, I would be like, you know, here's a movie that takes this concept and tries something original with it, in my opinion, and it does really well with it, and it's modern. And there's not a lot of movies that do that, especially for the 80s. Like, I feel like the 80s just get torn up. Like, all those movies.
I mean, this is like 100% not as good as Rogue One, which did like almost the exact same thing.
See, I don't know. Rogue One is really choppy at the beginning, but it's really good at the end. But but I think it's just a much better movie. Even so much so that they made a freaking spin-off of the spin-off. That's true.
You know, so I don't know, because it's kind of similar. It's like Rogue One is a prequel to the original, which was A New Hope. this is a prequel to the original Predator. They're both like, I mean, 70s, 80s genre. They're both older classic films.
Yeah.
I think Rogue One was like significantly better.
I'm just trying to figure out like
I feel like Prey is going to just get kind of forgotten because it was just okay. Unless you're like a diehard Predator fan, like maybe you are.
Well, I
don't know. I think people are just going to see this movie and be like, "Oh yeah, like you said, it was like just an okay addition." But I don't think it's not going to go down as like.
Well, I thought it was I don't think it's a okay, because saying like okay is like, oh, it did the bare minimum. I think it was a great addition. I just don't think it's a classic, obviously, but I think it's a great addition to, the Predator franchise, and just in, additions to franchises in general. Like, again, if someone asked me what's a great addition to a franchise, I would say Prey. And I'm trying to think of other examples. Have you seen the Blade Runner movies?
No.
So
that's another example.
Blade Runner 2049 is really good.
But that's a future classic. That's what I'm saying. 100% that's a future classic. People are still talking about that movie years after it came out.
Well, I think the other problem too is that what is it? Prey is only on Hulu, and it just came out randomly. That's true. I mean, I don't know why this movie wasn't put on in cinemas, but it really should have. I feel like it kind of gets it kind of loses a little bit of what's the freaking word I'm trying to say? It doesn't get as much attention as it should because it's just on Hulu. I don't know why they did that.
Did you say tension?
Attention, yeah.
Oh, I thought you said tension. I was like...
No, attention. But they put it on Hulu. I just feel like it's such a waste of space. Like it should have been in the cinemas. Because I mean, Blade Runner 2049 was.
This feels like, bro. Like so, okay. So you said it's a great addition. It feels like I feel the same about this as I do about Lightyear.
Okay. I thought Lightyear was good. Like I liked Lightyear.
It was fine. It was there. I thought it was okay.
See, I think Lightyear deserves that. I think Lightyear deserves it. I think
this deserves that.
So there we go. So we just have different opinions on it. I think Lightyear is a movie where it's like it tried something new with an already existing franchise.
Yeah, I think they're similar.
And it didn't do as well. Whereas Prey, I feel like tried something new with an already existing franchise, and I feel like it did phenomenal.
Right. So there's also a lot of controversy around Lightyear that might affect that, but I don't know. I see them similarly. Like objectively, they're conceptually trying to do the same thing, and I think that they achieved it in a similar way. I don't think Lightyear's a bad movie at all, and I actually kind of enjoyed it more than I did Prey, just because I don't know. I enjoy that kind of a film more than I enjoy like kind of just the action-y stuff. So, but I don't know.
I'm glad we're doing this podcast because we're gonna put each other through movies that we're not comfortable with. Like our comfort zones are gonna be popped.
R. That was a big dub.
That movie was great. So, Andy, what is your review or what is your ranking of Prey?
Like a 7.
A
7 flat.
Dude, that's still pretty high. You said you didn't like the movie. That's like a
70%. It's a C.
That's kind of like, yeah, I guess that's what you said. Like it's just okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it like an 8.5.
You're nuts,
dude.
8.5.
Yeah. Well, what is it on Rotten Tomatoes, or IMDb, whatever it is? Because I actually
7.2 on IMDb.
Really? What is it on Tomatoes?
The original one was 7.8.
I want to know the
Did you hear
audience
that?
score? Yeah.
So basically, based on the IMDb ratings, they're very similar in quality. So
I want to know.
I'll find Rotten Tomatoes for you.
I want to know what the audience score is for Prey on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, you can never really trust Rotten Tomatoes.
93.
Anyway, see, boom.
Yeah, but also Miss Marvel had like 96. So boom.
And The Last Jedi had 90 like critic score and 40 audience score.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
So
yeah, bro. My gosh. Ryan Johnson. What a polarizing figure. All right.
Dude, Prey, what is it? What's the meme? Prey expectations. What is it?
Eat, love, pray.
No. Eat, love, pray. I can't remember. But anyway. Do you have any fun facts? You don't even want to talk about this movie.
Oh, I can do fun facts. Yeah, hang on. Let's do fun facts.
You're like, fun fact, this movie sucks. You're probably like, this is the last time you're recommending a movie.
Okay, trivia time. Fact or cap?
Oh, I love this. This is fun. Fact or cap? I'm having fun.
I just had to make sure my... Okay. I don't even know how to ask this. Okay. I'm not even going to do that one. This is actually just a fun fact. No fact or cap on this one. The rattlesnake could see the predator while it was invisible because rattlesnakes have pits on their heads that allow the snake to sense heat and track prey through thermal radiation signature, much like the predator.
Really, the movie was all about the snake.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I would have liked it more.
If it was about the snake.
Yeah. All right. All these facts kind of suck, to be honest, not gonna lie. Oh, okay. So the feral predator's biomask is made from the skull of a river ghost from Predators 2010.
This movie sucks. I didn't want to know that fact.
Oh man, I don't. All these things are.
Well, I only have one memeable moment.
You have a memeable moment?
Just one.
Okay.
No, you can keep going.
I don't like any of these facts.
Oh, okay. Memeable moments. My only memeable moment is probably the only comedic part of the entire film. I was just laughing so hard when I don't know, at one point the predator just like shows all his weapons and like, oh yeah, it was when the French people were like trying to shoot him.
Oh yeah.
He was like murdering everyone and then they're just like, they look at him for like a second and they're just like they try to cock their gun and it takes them 7 years to cock it.
Oh yeah, I did that. I thought that was funny when they like shot like 10 bullets and then everyone had to like reload their musket. But
there's like the little look that they had first, like they just looked at him.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
Yeah,
it was a meme.
Memeable moments.
And that was memeable moments.
All right, theory time.
Theory time.
All right, here's my theory. Why did this movie suck?
I have a theory, actually.
Oh. Okay.
Do you actually have a theory, or you just...
No, go with yours first.
So, I don't know if you stayed around. You probably didn't stay around, but there's actually like a little end credit scene.
Oh, with the hieroglyphics?
Did you watch all that?
No.
Okay. Well, so the hieroglyphics show the entire movie, right? As it's...
Or I guess they're cave paintings. They're not really hieroglyphics. That's like Egyptian. But anyways, sorry.
Hieroglyphics. So, it shows the entire movie. And at the end of the movie, it shows that, after she brings the head, it shows that this ship comes down and there's like multiple predator ships coming down. So I don't know if that meant, is there another movie or is...
Yeah, there's probably going to be a Prey 2.
But then I was talking about it with my friend and he was like, from work, the same guy that told me about the movie. He was like, oh, I thought it was about a take on why Native Americans went missing. Because I guess there's a lot of tribes that went missing.
That's interesting.
And so he's like, oh, this is why they went missing. And I'm like, I didn't even think about that.
That's kind of
cool.
Shout out your friend.
Sean Malone.
Sean Malone? Okay, wait, I do have actually something cool. I don't know if you picked up on this, but at the end of Prey 2,
that movie sucks.
When Danny Glover gets that, they give him the pistol when he's on the ship. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, Sean told me about this too.
That was in this movie.
Yeah.
So that's sick.
So he's like, oh, this is the pistol that they give to Danny Glover.
Yeah. So here's a theory. How did they get it? Because at the end of the movie, at the end of Prey, she has it.
Mm-hmm.
So Prey 2.
I would pray for Prey 2.
I would die.
Let's review Prey 2 in the future. Just dead silent.
So yeah, I thought that was neat.
Well, dairy time. Well,
okay. This was a good discussion.
So Andy was wrong. I was right. I'm just kidding.
I don't think we've ever like disagreed about a movie.
No.
So
no, and that's why I'm like, kind of excited.
The closest we've gotten is when I said I liked Us and you said that you didn't like Us.
That
true. Was way more civil than this one. I feel like this one was personal because you freaking love this franchise.
Well,
I've never seen it, and I was like, "This movie sucks," and you're like, "Oh."
Well, I love the first one. I don't like when you say franchise. This franchise sucks. Like, I kind of wish it isn't a franchise because the only good one's the first one, and now Prey.
Yeah.
So I love Predator. I don't love the franchise because it's bad. Like all the movies are bad.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, go ahead.
I'd be curious to see them. I'm not going to, but I'd be curious.
Oh, it's the second one, dude, makes no sense. It's just the Predator's randomly in LA now.
Yeah.
And then there's like all this voodoo stuff going on, and they do like rituals and I don't know. Yeah. And there's like a shootout in LA with like the cartel. It makes no sense. It's so stupid. And then the remake, they literally just did a remake where they're in the jungle again, and it sucked.
The jungle.
They did 2 remakes.
Know. Stop remaking stuff. Stop it. 20th century, Netflix, Disney. Stop. Come up with something new. Make new classics. Freaking put all your billions of dollars into coming up with freaking cool concepts that are unique. Stop it.
Word.
It's freaking tiring, bro. It's tiring. I hate getting so excited for new sequels and new additions to franchises, and I assume that they're gonna suck because they always do. Mm-hmm. So stop it.
And he's going off. Well, thank you guys. No, in all seriousness, though, thank you guys for listening and watching. This again, really cool that we had different opinions. I'm glad you guys could listen to us arguing.
For real. Thanks.
Subscribe. Subscribe to Spotify. Andy, any closing thoughts?
Don't watch it.
Watch it, guys.
I'm kidding. You definitely should have watched it if you listened to this because we spoil the crap out of everything. So
yeah, we do.
Just know that for the next movie. Our next movie. I'm kidding. We don't know.
No, we don't know yet. I have ideas though. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Tune in next time.
We'll see you then.
Peace. See you then. Peace.
Wow, my echo.
What an episode, dude.